So I had this tiny piece of lindenwood left over from all of my relief carvings recently, and I wanted to see if I could design something simple and yet still interesting or striking in the right light. The concept is really straightforward, but getting the contours right and crisp edges on something this small is where it gets a little tricky. So let's see if we can turn this lonely little scrap piece into something we won't be embarrassed to hang on the wall. So I thought we'd do something a little bit different this time. What I'm going to do is make it so this leaf is quite far raised out of the wood. And then we're going to carve it down to hopefully make it look kind of more 3D-ish than the other relief carvings we've done. So I'm going to take the bendy boy chisel. You could just use like a flat chisel, or you could use a V chisel. But I think I want to use a flat chisel this time, so I need to get quite deep around all these edges. And then I'm going to take away as much material as I can with this big gouge, and then use a couple of smaller gouges or other small tools just to get out from all these little gaps. So let's do that first. Okay, so I'm going to take a flat chisel now and go fairly deep around this like central vein. You could use a knife as well. The knife might be easier actually. And start off quite deep here and get shallower as I go along. Then we're going to take out the area kind of directly surrounding it. So this sort of area here. And make that go quite deep towards the vein. And then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so the next part of the process here is to take down this outside edge. So everything kind of along here, all along here. I want this to go down this way, dive down towards the wood, the rest of the wood. And then we're going to have this kind of bump or curve in the middle, which we're going to try and transition nicely into the bits that are kind of diving down. I want to get quite a bit lower with the background here, so the leaf stands out a bit more, so I can make it look a bit more 3D if possible. So I'm going to take more away here. We've probably done about 4 or 5 millimeters so far. I'd like to get it down to about a centimeter if I can. That'd be pretty cool. So let's work on that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get a gouge, a kind of small-ish one, and just take out this area here. So it looks like the vein here is kind of dipping down and there's more kind of curves going out at the end. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I've got to go ahead and do it because I just want to try it and see what happens. So I've drawn a bit on here where I want this central vein of the leaf to go, you know, because I cut a lot of it away. And then after we've cleaned up the whole vein, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around the side here and kind of draw on the edge here where I want the undercut to go underneath the leaf to try and give us a bit more of that kind of popping out of the wood feel. And then I'll just go over the whole thing again and try and make the shape a bit more the way I want it to be. So if you look closely, you might be able to see that I've drawn these pencil lines around the edge for the undercut, and generally what I've done is to draw them higher as they go inside these little kind of joins. So it looks like the leaf is kind of folding down, so they're lower around the edges and higher in the middle. That's just generally how I've done it. I haven't done it the same everywhere, like up around the edge here they're a bit higher. But I'm going to cut those back, undercut them now, so come with a chisel and kind of cut down that way, and then clear out the space underneath to make it look like this leaf is kind of floating up a little bit. And this bit I always find really tricky, so I'm going to take my time with it and hope that I can do it properly. Whilst I'm cleaning all of this up, let's see how the latest eBay listing is doing. As you can see, it is doing much better than the last one, which sold for £17. This one's currently on £75.60. Whilst you're watching me brush all the little scraggly bits off with a toothbrush, I just want to say once again thanks to my supporters for helping the channel, and in particular Andy Pugh, who joined at the Bendy Boy Society tier. Cheers, Andy. One more update before we get to the final reveal. You may be pleased to hear that the moth carving has sold for £75, so it's done a little bit better than the than the flower one. Well, I know I often say this, but I'm actually quite surprised at how nicely this one has turned out. Maybe I should start having more faith in my own abilities. I don't know. But anyway, I really like it. There is a template, and it's not just for one leaf. I made it for a whole bunch of leaves, so you can get that on Patreon. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to go outside and do some gardening because it is a glorious day and I need to sort out my plants big time. So I'll catch you next time. Thanks for coming.